Hello everyone, this is the last of our 4-class beginning tangle series, and this will be the last tile that we're going to be doing in that series. This tile is, I'm going to show you mostly embellishments for your tiles. We are going to be learning jetties today, and then we're taking our orbs and we're making tipple. So that's jetties, Jetties, and tipple, Tipple. And then we're going to be learning several other tangles that you can see on the outside here that are more embellishments. So with those examples in your head, let's begin. Go ahead and start, grab your tile, put your corner dots in. Now my border this time is going to be not quite as straight. I'm going to have a little bit more fun with the border line because that also becomes, you can see how that can become part of your tangle or part of your string. I'm going to just draw a circle-ish shape in the middle of my tile, and then I'm going to divide my tile down the middle, or down from corner to corner, like that. So we have a circle, and then it's divided through the diagonal. The first tangle that we're going to learn today is called jetties. And what I'd like you to do is make some orbs, but make these orbs rather large because we want to add a stripe to these, and we want to be able to get through in a reasonable amount of time. So I'm going to make just enough jetties here on mine to show you what they are all about. That one overlapped. Let's see what happens there. And I'm using the circle in the middle of the tile as a guideline. It's hard to make circles working along any straight line, so we are just using it as a guideline. And mostly it's just to locate our tangle more centrally in the tile. After I've made some larger orbs, I'm going to make smaller orbs here. I'm going to butt them up against one another. And we are actually designing or creating the space for two different tangles. I'm going to add another larger orb there. Some of these mid-sized orbs can be used for either tipple or jetties. I will leave that decision up to you as you fill them in and begin to tangle them, begin to finish them up. And so I think my pen's kind of dying on me here. So jetties is like a billiard ball. And think of stripes. And so what you do is you pick one of your orbs, take a larger orb. Towards the top of that orb, you draw a little arc from side to side. Then you aura that arc pretty close. Then you're going to make another aura, but you're going to make it a gap. You're going to give it a pretty good sized gap. Maybe a half to a third of the full size of your orb, and then you're going to do another aura closer on the other side of your the last aura, or the bottom side of your stripe. Well, actually, let me do this one first. We're just going to color this larger black stripe, this larger stripe in. I'm going to use my number 3. I think I'm going to get rid of that number 1 there. It's done. So that is jetties. That's your first one. Then what I do, just to make it easy for me, is I turn my tile a little bit. I'm going to actually turn it this way. And I repeat that pattern. But I don't want it to be lined up. At least not this time. I don't really want my jetties to line up. I want them to look like they're flowing away from each other or around each other, so the stripes are going to not be visually in the same angle all the time on the whole tile. Again, I'm going to use my number 3 to color. I'm going to try and do this rather quickly because we have an awful lot to tangle today. Whoops, there we go. I'm being a little bit sloppy. I'm going to do one more jetties. I'm sure you have the hang of it. So here we have, so what I would do is I would then complete these other larger orbs, this time anyway, with jetties, with these stripes. The next piece I'm going to look at are the little orbs that we've made. And in order to make tipple, all you really have to do is color in the spaces in between the different orbs. And it creates something that looks like a cobblestone pathway. And that is tipple. So I'm going to turn my tile over to spell those out again. Jetties. Tipple. All right. Next, I'm going to make my favorite, as you all know, hollabah. So I am going to do the traditional hollabah here because it needs to be kind of quick for our time frames. So I'm just going to do straight hollabah, and I'm going to do just kind of come through. If I run into my tipple, I'm going to pretend like it's hollabah. I'm going to go underneath those circles and then end up at my string line. And this hollabah really just ends at the tipple. And I'll probably do, I don't know, 5 or 6 boards on hollabah. Again, mostly just to move quickly past this. You can add more or less as you're wanting to do your tangling. Take your time. I have a rather parallel pattern ending up there. Let me do this. All right. I want to do one more in there. And I can go back and fill this tile in more, but you get the idea. There is hollabah. On this, what I'm going to do on the string side line is I'm going to just draw that all the way through. I'm just going to darken that line to give myself a sense of holding that or securing that hollabah in place like that. Along the border side of the hollabah, I'm going to also fill in the line, but where the boards open up into the border, like right here, I'm going to leave those open. Oops. And this one, because it's behind everything and I think it would be too wide of an opening, I'm just going to close that up. I'm also going to close this one up because it also is leaving, would have been too wide of an opening. So you can determine if you want all of them open or just some of them open, that's fine. So some of the ways that we embellish that we embellish our tiles in Zentangle, or even give ourselves a minute to think, because we get to a point where we go, what do I want to do next? These are things that you can kind of take your time and breathe over while you're planning your next move. So the first thing is aura, and we've already learned aura, but you can go through and just aura an entire aspect of your tile. What that begins to do is bring your whole tile, or that part of your tile, together. Firms it up. If it feels like it's kind of out in space and doesn't have any place to go, often an aura is your ticket to just clearing your space. Like that. And you can even aura again if you would like, but that is aura. Feel free to use aura anywhere. And I'm going to show you an example. You can even multiple aura, like inside the holobah, and create shapes inside of those shapes with your aura. Or you can do a single aura as well in your holobah. Any space can be aura'd, or any tangle. The next embellishment that is used a lot in Zentangle is called rounding. And here in tipple would be the best spot. So you see how the orbs come together and they create these kind of little V's in between the orbs, and they can be a little bit sharp. And so we just round those off. We just create a little bit of a bridge between the two pieces of the tangle, and then we just fill it in a little bit. So we just round the space. Maria Thomas equates it to like wrought iron work, where they have to add a little bit more iron or solder between the ironworks in order for the iron to actually stay together. And it gives it just a little bit more finished, refined look. You can also do that inside your holobah. This is why I wanted to use holobah, because it ends up being a tangle that we can do all of these things with. The tile that you were seeing before the examples are kind of crazy tiles, and partially it's because I'm just trying to get all of these different pieces in. They are fun though, turning out to be pretty fun. So that's rounding. The next way to embellish a tangle is called line weight. And you can decide that you want to just add a little more weight to a line. Now I drew my line initially with my number 1. And now I'm taking my PN. You could take your 3 as well. Or you could just go over it a couple times with your number 1 and just going to add some weight to the line. I feel like I want to add weight here as well, so I'm going to do that. Remember to turn your tile to be comfortable. And then I'm going to do another weighted line. So you see it begins to add a little bit of character within the tangle. You can also take your weighted line and you can come over to tipple, and I want to weight this line around that's touching Halaba. Or maybe I want to take this orb and I just want to weight the line towards the back like that. It begins to just add some individuality to some of your tangles. It adds some perspective or depth without having to worry about how to get there. And you can always go in with your number 1, because I'm feeling like that line's thick, but it kind of ends thickly. And you can just pull that in and kind of thin it out more naturally. And you could do some rounding. So those are options within any tangle: aura, weighted line, and rounding. And the next things we're going to learn is some individual tangles. The first one is called fescue, F-E-S-C-U-E. I'm just trying to make sure I keep all my letters straight. And fescue is like fescue. It's a thin line up, kind of curvy, and at the bottom we do a little ball like that. They can cross over each other. I'm going to make another one. So you can kind of have it be a little bit more jumbly, not so smooth. You can have them cross, and a nice way to make them cross so that they remain clear visually is you start your fescue and end at the line or the stem of the fescue that you're crossing. Leave a tiny gap between the stem on the other side, and then come out and draw your circle like that, little arch in a circle. And it begins to feel like one fescue is in front of another. Same thing over here. Go to touch, leave a little gap, and then your dot, your remaining line and dot. And they can kind of go off wherever you want. Fescue is a very organic tangle. It fits into corners. You can do a lot of things with fescue. The next tangle we have is called floo, F-L-O-O, and it's more of an advanced fescue. So we're going to start off the same way. We're going to start off with a kind of a archy line and curve over, and at the end, instead of making a dot, we're going to make a little teardrop, and we're going to color in the teardrop. And then we're going to aura this stem. I'm going to aura the stem up around. I have to turn my tile. Remember when you put your pen down to kind of gently put it down where you started, and you'll get less of a blob where you connect. Now, instead of auraing the whole thing, we're actually going to put a circle at the end of our aura line. And that is floo. And floo can do the same thing as fescue. It can cross over. It can play really organically with other floo. That does not work for me. And a circle at the end like that. Now with my next floo, I'm going to cross one of them, and you can meet them at the bottom like that if you want. You can start them separately. I'm going to start this one separately. I'm going to cross my first flue. I'm going to kind of straighten it out so I have some room on the other side. I'm going to cross my second flue, and then I'm going to put my little arch in my teardrop. And around in a circle. Okay, and that is flue. And then we're going to build on flue. So the next tangle, let's make a flue. I'm going to bring it down to this other end. I think I'm going to use this indent here in my tangle. And I'm going to do my flue. I'm going to aura my line. Put my circle on. And then this flue is going to get a hat. And what we're going to do is think of floppy like pancakes or a floppy knitted hat. And we're going to start on the circle part at the edge, and we're going to make a little loop, and then we're going to come over the top of the flue, and then we're going to loop around like that, like a little sausage, little floppy sausage. And then we're going to do another one. This time I'm just going to get gradually smaller. Like that. And then at the end, we're going to put an upside down comma, maybe an upside down and backwards. So we're going to do a little bit of a dot and then a little tail like that. And that is called sprinkle. And that is, I'm going to just spell that out. It's spring. Cool. They love fun words in Zentangle. All right, so we're going to do one more of those. And I'm going to do another one of my sprinkles. Actually, I think I'm going to go the same direction this time, but I'm going to make it a little bit taller. So the teardrop, the aura, I'm going to end up having to do some hollabah effect on my aura-ing here. Circle. And hat. And this time, I'm going to make the hat actually get a little bit bigger before I make it get a little smaller again. And that just shows you different things that you can do. And then instead of doing the comma, I'm just going to do little dots. So sprinkle. Another thing is I forgot sparkle. So sparkle is something that you can also add to almost any tangle. Excuse me, I'm going to show it to you with a couple of print toms, and because I have this nice gap right over here, this is a great place for me to put print toms. So I'm going to start some print toms, and then what I'm going to do is go around and I'm going to lift my pen up. I'm going to act as if my pen's down and make part of the circle, and then I am going to put it back down. And then I'm going to come about to this place where I picked up before, pick up my pen, drop my pen back down. I'm going to do it one more time, pick my pen up, drop my pen back down. It takes a little practice to do this, and then I'm going to go all the way around like that. And what it does is it makes it feel like your printom is catching some light, adding some sparkle to it. I'm going to do another one here. Pick up my pen, go around, pick up my pen, act as if it's down, go around. You kind of use the same action as hollabah, going underneath things where you have to lift up your pen but continue the line and then drop your pen down where you're actually going to touch the paper and make the line. And I'm going to just do a regular printom in here. I'm not going to try and cram a sparkle in there. I'm going to do one more sparkle. Like that. You can also, that's kind of a wide printom, you can also just do one sparkle, come around, lift up, put down, and that also creates a nice sparkle. So you can do different things with it. You're not limited to 3 times around on either side of that. We can also do something like sparkle on our jetties. So I'm going to do my jetties here. Do another jetty. And then we're going to add an area. Before I start coloring, I always kind of block out the area that I want to leave white. Remember, white is going to be kind of a highlight. So I do that. I just put a little mark in there like that. Make a little rectangle in that stripe, and then I color in around that rectangle. What that does is it makes sure that I have space that I can use to actually add some sparkle. I could leave it like that, like it's a stripe in there. Or I could take it and I could make it more narrow. But I have plenty of white to work with. And then I always add a little bit more along the top and at the bottom of that stripe. And then that gives you just a little bit of a sparkle on your jetties. Let's see if I've got one that has more than, not really close. So you get the idea. You can do sparkle on your printoms, you can do sparkle on jetties, you can do sparkle in the Knight's Bridge. If you color in between the spaces in hollabah, you can add sparkle to anything. You could do a little sparkle here in the dark. Wherever there's a lot of dark, you can add a little bit of light by adding a space, and then you create a little bit of a highlight inside your tangle. So the other, I've got a little bit of time. So I'm gonna show you some other ideas here. I left these spaces on hollabah open to show you that you can create a different bottom to your hollabah. You can do an arch around the bottom, and I am going to do a aura around that arch, and then you can do circles around that. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Now in my classes, I just did the arch right around the actual opening. We'll do that here in just a minute. So if you took the class and you're back to watching, remember you can do a lot of different things. These are all ideas that you can build on. You can just go just like this. And you can make the circle bigger and get smaller. And that gives you a different end to your halaba, different footing really to your halaba. And you can use that wherever it feels, whenever it shows up. I'm just seeing what else I have here. I have something called confettis. When you think about confetti, I'm actually going to start here at this flue, and I'm going to just kind of follow my border up around, and then you just add little dark circles to your confettis. Now in the I can't remember my words, but using sparkle, right? You can make a circle, leave a little bit of a highlight. That one was kind of small, so I'll just make it a little bit bigger. There, like that. Make that one work for me there. All right, so you're getting the picture. You can do lots of little things, or you can just color it in. Lots of little things to add fun to your tangles. So that's confettis. Let me make sure I've got that spelled right, if I can find it on my notes. That's TTES, RUS. This is TT. Okay. Alrighty. And then, also print-ons can be an embellishment too. Print-ons can roll off on its own or attach to something. So you can do a print-on and have it kind of come up to a line. You could then, right, do a little bit of a weighted line. On your print-ons. Whoops, that's a little bit too weighted there. That's okay, we'll just keep going and see what happens. And if I really wanted to, I could put a little over the top of that. So those are embellishments. There are so many. I had a whole handful of them, and I think I taught different ones in each class. But I just wanted to make sure that I showed you some different things that you can do to add a little bit of fun to your tangles, especially if you're thinking it needs something else. These are ways to go with that. And I am going to just show you one more, and it's also a takeoff on the fescue, and also take off on sprinkle. And you can just draw a line up on the top, put a ball, and then you don't really connect them. You make little arches over the top of your ball, kind of an aura, or as one of the students said, an echo over the top of the ball. Anyway, that's called Zinger, by the way. And quickly, I'll try and show you some ideas on shading jetties. And I would just shade jetties. I like to shade jetties just like they're a halaba style, where there's one coming over the top of another. They can also be, they also look good in a pillow style shading, where you would shade the entire tangle of jetties. I would be careful about doing both on any particular tangle, because you'll get them too dark, or it may get too dark. So in your playing, just remember that. On the tipple, no, some of these, this is so half finished, but I can still go back and color in. after I'm finished with this. But so on tipple, I'm going to go ahead and pillow shade tipple. I'm going to pull that graphite into the center of tipple like that. And the other thing I'm going to do is make it feel like it's shading onto the hollabah. So that way I would just put graphite down on the outside edge of my tipple arches, and then I would pull it in onto the board of tipple. Or onto the board of hollabah, and that makes it look like it's sitting on top of hollabah and kind of behind jetties. So the last one I'm going to do here, we're at 36 minutes. Last one I'm going to do is I'm going to shade Zinger, our shade sprinkle, because it's really the only one of these embellishments that you can really shade well. And I'm going to just shade one edge of the hat, and I'm going to pull that towards the middle. And then I'm going to take what's on my stump, or you can even add some more graphite right here where the circle meets the stem. Just a touch. And you can pull that in like that. You could also go up the center, right? Looks a little bit like that. And then you can, these feet at the bottom, you can do the same thing like you did here with tipple. You can go through and you can shade so that it acts as if it's sitting on a platform or standing on a flat surface. It has a floor or ceiling. It's anchored in some way, like that. You can go through and you can add just a dot of highlight on the circles. You can do that on tipple as well. Again, you just want to make sure that you don't choose one way first, and then if you have room for something else, you can add a little bit of that later. And then you can also shade along your stripes. Like that. You just can play away. So there is our last tile. I just want to remind everybody to take a few minutes and admire what you've done, and be grateful for the time that you've taken and the breath that you've taken in your day. I hope you're enjoying doing these tiles and these tangles, and that it's brought you a little bit of joy through this crazy season. And don't forget to have to honor your work and sign, or put your chop on. And sign your tile. Let's see, and the date is 1/7. I guess it's actually 1/6/21. And I just want to thank all of you for being a part of this, and I hope you enjoy tangling. And we will hopefully see you soon. If you'd like to join and get updates, go ahead and sign up for the mailing list. It's on the site now. I've got a mailing list sign up, and I'll probably be putting out a new tangle a week, if not two, especially in the beginning. Also go to tangles.com, tanglepatterns.com. They've got great options for you there. Some of them are complicated, some of them are not. And I just thank you again. Take care.